few days had passed since the last briefing at the barracks, and on the evening before his return to Parma, Salvatore Longobucco took a stroll through the center of Magenta. He parked his car on Via Alcide de Gaspé, and as soon as he stepped out, he noticed a large, square pool filled with water. Inside, scattered jets of water caught the last rays of the setting sun. He approached the fountain to get a better look, failing to notice a young couple in love sitting on the edge of the pool. He stood there for a few minutes, gazing at the modern structure, keeping a respectful distance from the pair, his mind a blank slate. He closed his eyes. He needed to clear his mind of the malignant filth. He had hoped to be free of contamination after resigning as head of the RIS, but the past had sucked him back in like a cork tossed into a whirlpool. It was a moment of forced self-cleansing. A final ray of sunlight flowed like water across the pool's surface, merging with it completely before separating and dissolving gently onto the faces of the lovers, who were gazing into each other's clear eyes. He opened his eyes and, where the young couple had been, he thought he saw two angels locked in an embrace. That's impossible. Am I losing my mind? He wondered. He rubbed his eyes and looked at the same spot again. The lovers were gone. Yeah, I think I'm losing it, he said under his breath, laughing heartily as he covered his face with his hands. He looked at the same spot once more and continued to laugh with all his might. Meanwhile, an elderly woman walked by with her dog on a leash. She stopped and, looking at Longobucco, exclaimed in Milanese dialect, "Are you feeling all right, sir?" Although he was originally from Parma, the former RIS chief understood the meaning of the phrase and replied, "Yes, yes, kind lady, I'm fine, I'm fine." And he walked away from the fountain, heading toward the town center. The elderly woman watched him go, shaking her head and smiling. "Yeah, I think I'm losing my mind," he said under his breath, laughing heartily as he covered his face with his hands. He glanced back at the same spot and continued to laugh at the top of his lungs. Meanwhile, an elderly woman walking her dog passed by. She stopped and, looking at Longobucco, exclaimed in Milanese dialect, "Are you feeling all right, sir?" Although he was originally from Parma, the former RIS chief understood the meaning of the phrase and replied, "Yes, yes, kind lady, I'm fine, I'm fine." And he walked away from the fountain, heading toward the town center. The elderly woman watched him go, shaking her head and smiling. As the man walked, his thoughts inevitably turned to the sinister figure, the masked killer, and he said to himself, "I wonder why on earth this madman decided to drag me into this horrible affair, when I was nothing more than an intern." Longobucco stepped onto the paved pedestrian walkway, which began with two large pine trees standing on either side. He continued walking, passing various people, some hurrying home from work or from a lover, likely having pretended they were swamped at the office, others, quiet couples walking arm in arm, and a few people with dogs on leashes. To his left, two black men from outside the EU sat on a bench, speaking an indecipherable language. He wondered what they could be discussing, as their voices were loud enough to suggest they were arguing. Yet, he had noticed this seemingly combative style of conversation among other groups from Africa, both in his native Parma and in other cities, and he said to himself with conviction, "It will remain an unsolved mystery for many years to come, at least for most of us Westerners, who would never dream of learning their guttural language." Just past the bench, outdoor cafe tables were being cleared away as closing time approached. A final, drunken customer said goodbye to the attendant, who was bent over picking something up, by patting her on the backside. The woman didn't even seem to notice. To the left, there were more benches interspersed with planters filled with greenery, flowers, and small trees. To the right stood a small Romanesque church and a historic building with arcades, housing shops, and eateries. Further along on the right, the old building gave way to an adjacent modern structure featuring a passageway underneath that led to the other side of the town center. The former RIS chief arrived at a large square that greeted visitors with a massive circular planter designed for seating. A few non-EU immigrants were sitting there, speaking their indecipherable language, though somewhat less animatedly than the previous group. Perhaps because they're right in the middle of town, the man thought. Longobucco admired the spacious, paved square, noting various bars, restaurants, and gelato shops, as well as people strolling leisurely without any particular destination. He had no appetite, so he decided simply to have a coffee at a cafe just a few meters from the planter, then return to his car and head back to his hotel for the night. He would be leaving early the next morning to reunite with his family, fully aware that, unfortunately for him, he would have to return to this town of Magenta, stained with blood by the masked killer.
La realtà si spezza con de vetro, un silenzio che inghiotte ogni cosa. Sento